high in the Andes, where the condor soars and the air is thin, a magnificent empire once thrived. This was Tawantinsuyu, the realm of the Foparts, known to us as the Inca Empire. For centuries, its people, the children of the sun god Inti, built a civilization of staggering complexity, with golden cities, terraced mountainsides, and a network of roads that rivaled Rome's. But in the early 16th century, this golden age was about to face its twilight. A storm was gathering across the great ocean, a storm of steel, gunpowder, and insatiable ambition. The year is 1532. The Inca Empire is just emerging from a brutal civil war. Two brothers, Huascar and Atahualpa, sons of the great Emperor Huayna Capac, had fought for control of the throne. Atahualpa, the victor, is now the Sapa Inca, the undisputed ruler. As he travels towards the imperial capital of Cusco to be formally crowned, his massive army numbers in the tens of thousands. He is the most powerful man in the Americas. But news reaches him of strange, bearded men who have landed on the coast. Men with skin as pale as the moon, riding enormous, four-legged beasts, and carrying sticks that spit fire and thunder. These men are the Spanish conquistadors, led by a hardened and ruthless veteran named Francisco Pizarro. His force is shockingly small, fewer than 200 men. To Atahualpa, they are a curiosity, perhaps a minor nuisance, but certainly not a threat. How could this handful of oddities challenge an empire of millions? Confident in his overwhelming numbers, Atahualpa agrees to meet Pizarro in the city of Cajamarca. It would be a decision that would change the course of history forever. As Atahualpa and his royal procession entered the main square of Cajamarca on November 16, 1532, they found it eerily empty. Thousands of his finest warriors, unarmed as a sign of diplomatic goodwill, accompanied him. Atahualpa, carried high on a golden litter adorned with parrot feathers, expected to see Pizarro. Instead, a friar, Vicente de Valverde, stepped forward holding a Bible. He spoke of a foreign king and a different god, demanding the Inca ruler submit to both. Atahualpa, bewildered and insulted by this audacity, took the book, examined it, and then tossed it to the ground. That was the signal Pizarro had been waiting for. From the surrounding buildings, the trap was sprung. Cannons roared, muskets cracked, and Spanish cavalry charged into the panicked, unarmed crowd. The shock and awe were absolute. The Inca, who had never seen horses or firearms, were thrown into complete chaos. The Spaniards, clad in steel armor, were like gods of war, cutting through the defenseless retinue with terrifying efficiency. In the heart of the slaughter, Pizarro himself fought his way to Atahualpa's litter, grabbing the emperor and taking him captive. In a matter of hours, the divine ruler of the Inca Empire was a prisoner, and thousands of his followers lay dead in the square. The empire was decapitated. In a desperate bid for freedom, Atahualpa made an incredible offer. He would fill a large room once with gold and twice with silver in exchange for his release. Pizarro agreed. For months, A river of treasure flowed into Cajamarca from every corner of the empire. Temples were stripped of their golden plates, and precious artifacts, the work of generations of master craftsmen, were collected. The sheer volume of wealth was beyond the Spaniards' wildest dreams. They had found their El Dorado. But once the ransom was paid, Pizarro's promise proved to be as hollow as his heart. Fearing Atahualpa could still rally his empire, the conquistadors staged a mock trial and sentenced him to death. In July 1533, the last emperor of an independent Inca empire was executed. The sun had set on Atahualpa. With Atahualpa gone, the Spanish marched on the capital, Cusco. They installed a puppet emperor, a young prince named Manco Inca Yupanqui, hoping to rule through him. For a time, Manco played along, observing the invaders, learning their ways, and quietly plotting his revenge. He saw the Spaniards' greed, their cruelty, and their disrespect for his people and his gods. He realized that coexistence was impossible. This was a fight for survival. In 1536, Manco Inca escaped from Cusco under a clever pretext. The time for deception was over. The time for war had begun. He rallied his people, and a massive Inca army, said to number over 100,000, rose up in a great rebellion. They laid siege to Cusco, where a small Spanish garrison was trapped. For nearly a year, the battle for the heart of the empire raged. The Inca warriors, armed with slings, spears, and maces, showed incredible bravery. They learned to counter the Spanish cavalry, using bolas to trip the horses and digging pits in the narrow streets. They even managed to set fire to the city's thatched roofs with heated stones, turning Cusco into a blazing inferno. The siege of Cusco was the Incas' best and last great chance to expel the invaders. They came agonizingly close. The Spanish were pushed to the brink of starvation and defeat. But they were saved by their superior weaponry, their steel armor, and a crucial reinforcement party that broke through the Inca lines. At the same time, another Inca army failed to dislodge Pizarro from the newly founded coastal city of Lima. The tide of the rebellion began to turn. Faced with the need to let his warriors return to their fields to plant crops and avoid famine, Manco Inca was forced to lift the siege. The great uprising had failed, but Manco Inca was not broken. He retreated into the dense, mountainous jungle region of Vilcabamba, north of Cusco. There, he established a new, independent Inca state, a kingdom in exile. From this remote stronghold, for the next 36 years, Manco and his successors would wage a relentless guerrilla war against the Spanish. This was the true last stand of the Inca. From their jungle fortress, they launched raids on Spanish convoys and settlements, keeping the flame of resistance alive. They were a constant thorn in the side of the Spanish colonial administration. This jungle kingdom of Vilcabamba became a symbol of defiance. It was a neo-Inca state, blending old traditions with new, captured Spanish technology. They learned to ride horses and even use firearms. Manco's sons, Sayri Tupac, Tichu Cusi, and finally Tupac Amaru, each ruled in their turn, continuing the fight their father had started. They were the last of the Inca kings, the final guardians of a dying civilization, holding out against one of the most powerful empires on Earth. But the Spanish were patient and determined to crush this final pocket of resistance. In 1572, the Spanish viceroy, Francisco de Toledo, decided to end the Vilcabamba state once and for all. He dispatched a large, well-equipped military expedition to hunt down the last Inca king, Tupac Amaru. The Spanish forces fought their way through the jungle, capturing Inca forts one by one. Tupac Amaru and his followers were forced to flee deeper into the Amazon, but they were eventually tracked down and captured. The last Sapa Inca was taken in chains to Cusco, the city his ancestors had built. He was given a show trial and, like Atahualpa before him, sentenced to death. On September 24, 1572, in the same main square where the conquest had truly begun 40 years earlier, Tupac Amaru was publicly beheaded. As the executioner's blade fell, a mournful cry is said to have risen from the native crowd. It was the death knell of the Inca Empire. The last warrior of the sun had fallen, and the footparts of Tawantinsuyu were finally and irrevocably swallowed by the Spanish crown. The story of the Inca's Last Stand is a profound epic of courage against impossible odds. It's a tale of a sophisticated civilization brought down not just by military might, but by disease, internal division, and deception. Yet, even in defeat, the spirit of the Inca people endured. Their language, Quechua, is still spoken by millions today. Their customs, traditions, and their unbreakable connection to the Andean landscape survive. The legacy of warriors like Manco Inca and Tupac Amaru would inspire future rebellions against colonial rule for centuries to come. They may have lost the war, but their fight for freedom and identity was never truly forgotten. Thank you so much for watching. The story of the Inca is one of both incredible achievement and profound tragedy. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories from history. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.